Greetings gamers, today we're going to be continuing to prep for your campaign of D&D by talking about how to get the most out of your player characters' backgrounds. And to do this, we're going to be using a character bio sheet. Now this is one that I have written, a link to which will be in the description below. And I just want to take a little bit of time to talk about why this is such a useful thing for you as the Dungeon Master. It's a fairly simple document. It has the character's name, the player's name, their race, level, class alignment, which deity they worship, their age, their weight, and their height as the headline information, and then it's broken into several sections. Now, the main reason you want to give this to your players is to help them on the character creation process to think a little deeper about their character and give you more information that you can then work into your campaign. One of the things that makes the players feel more special than anything else is when you work elements of their background into the campaign, bring in people that they've met previously, locations that are important to them, events that are significant to them. If you weave these into your story, you'll have much more engaged players, and your players are probably going to have a better time because things that are relevant to them are happening. These sheets are also excellent for people that aren't very roleplay focused or who have never played before, because it asks a few questions of them that they might not have thought before. So let's dive straight into it. The first section we've got here is section A, which is the description. That is going to be where your players are going to write down all the physical attributes of the character. But more than that, it also covers things like their talents, their personality traits, and things like that. Little questions like this can help your players think, well, is my character selfish or altruistic? Are they brave or are they cowardly? Are they likely to be hot-headed and start a fight as soon as possible? Or are they more reserved and more likely to stand back and wait to see what happens? The next section is on background, and here is where you want your players to talk about what's happened in the characters' lives before they arrive in the story you're all about to tell together. One thing I would recommend here is to lightly encourage your players not to have dead parents. It's a really common thing. Players think that their characters need some tragic backstory, so they kill off the parents, or they kill off their entire family, or something terrible happens and their entire village is destroyed. That can work, and if done well, it can work amazingly. But where possible, I think you should gently discourage people from doing that, just because it makes them think of other things that make their character interesting rather than I took part in X battle where this entire village was destroyed, or my parents were killed by a goblin raiding party and I went out single-handedly and cut off the goblin chieftain's head. You want your players to become heroes in this story. You don't want them to be heroes when they arrive. The next section is on motivations, and this is where you're going to get a gold mine of resources to use as a dungeon master. You want your players to think about their characters and think about why they are out adventuring. You want them to think about what in the short term has brought them to this place and what their goals are in the long term. Now, the reason for this is both because it gives the players and the player characters something to strive for, an objective, a goal for them to achieve, but it also gives you, the dungeon master, information that you can use to your advantage. For example, if you know that one of your players longs to be a famous playwright, then perhaps at some point in your campaign, the players could take part in an adventure that sees them operating in and around a theatre group. Perhaps the lead star of a local theatre group has been targeted by the mob, and the local mob has tried to assassinate this rising star, but the show must go on, so the theatre troupe has asked the party if someone would be willing to fill in and undergo makeup and pretend to be this person so that they can root out the assassin. Well, if you've got a character whose long-term motivation is to be a famous star, they might jump at the chance of that, at the chance for their character to further their goals. Similarly, if your characters do have the tragic backstory with the dead parents and they know who killed their parents, well, then you can weave that character into your story. You can introduce people working for that character to the players. You can mention them in passing and slowly build up to the reveal of here is the person that killed your parents, and introduce those plot elements nice and early and let them build. Or if they've been fairly vague about what happened to their parents, you can use that as a plot twist moment. For example, in my campaign, one of my players doesn't know what happened to their father, and several weeks ago it was revealed that an evil wizard that they had been dealing with over the past couple of months was in fact the character's father, and that was a nice payoff for that little bit of information that the player had written down on their character sheet almost a year ago. And the next section is on the character's fears. Just like the motivations, this is a goldmine on things that you can use to improve the player's experience of the game. If you know that one character is deathly afraid of spiders, well, you might have an adventure that takes place underground, totally unrelated to spiders, but you might decide there is a giant spider's nest and they enter into this place and become surrounded by spiders, and you get to watch the character freak out about that. Little things like that are always good fun. On a larger and more impactful scale, you might have a character that is in hiding for some reason, and you could put a situation in front of the characters where, to accomplish their goal or to save someone or to finish their mission, that character has to put themselves at risk of being discovered, put themselves in the spotlight, increase the chance that whoever's looking for them might find them. And it introduces some interesting dynamics and choices for the player characters. And finally, there's the additional information section where the player can list any other pieces of information that they feel are important. So if they carry a magic weapon, what's the magic weapon called? Where did they get it? If they have any relationships with NPCs that aren't family, for example, you might list that here. If they know important people somewhere in the world, they might list that in this section. And this is all information that you can pick and choose and use in your campaign. If they know the mayor of a town, for example, you might have them go to that town and receive an audience with the mayor and get special treatment. Or if you know that they've had a run-in with a mob boss in the past, well, you can introduce that mob boss and have them be an enemy for the party. But there we have it, folks. I highly recommend you download this, use it as it is, or modify it to your needs, and present your players with one of these bio sheets for them to fill in to give them and you more information about their character, who their character is, and how you can use that information to improve your players' games. If you like this video, you know what to do. And if you give your players a questionnaire or a bio sheet similar to this at the start of your campaigns, I'd love to hear what sort of questions appear on yours. But until next time, happy gaming. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for new content every single Friday. And if you want to keep watching, well, there's another couple videos for you to watch just over there. Happy gaming.